Hey you! Do you like cowboy hats? Do you like the Vulcan Gatling cannon on the A-10 Warthog? And do you like Deadeye from Red Dead Redemption? Then you need to try out Warframe's own gun-slinging damage monster known as Mesa. Mesa might be one of the older frames in the game, with the original being released in 2014 and her Prime variant dropping in 2018. She still though remains as one of the highest DPS frames in the game. Starting with her looks, the base variant of Mesa is honestly not really an overall interesting design to me, I'll be fully honest. There is, however, a fun built-in tidbit of lore in her helmet, since it is a reference to the fact that she enjoys fighting blind. Her Prime variant, on the other hand, wow. This is still one of the best looking Prime designs in the game, in my opinion. The built-in Orokin Stetson, the way it looks like she's wearing an Old West duster, these power core looking thingies, and, well, she is also quite fun to fashion frame with so many great color combinations to choose from. My current look for her, funnily enough, was just from picking random colors, so looks-wise, her base look is okay, but the Prime look is pure perfection. Alright, ability time now. Starting with her passive, Mesa allows you to shoot faster with dual-wielded sidearms and reload faster with one-handed ones, as well as getting a health buff if she has no melee weapon equipped. How much health do you get? Well, you get a whopping 50 health. What does that mean for you?
Nothing! Now get out! What?
Mesa is already an incredibly squishy frame, fitting the role of a glass cannon quite nicely, so an additional 50 health is honestly nothing. Her whole passive is honestly just alright, with the buffs to pistols being nice and the health boost being honestly completely ignorable. Next up, however, is our first ability, Ballistic Battery, and I am not going to sugarcoat it here. This ability is absolute, total, complete, 100% garbage. The way it is supposed to work is that it channels energy into your weapon to empower the next shot. That is shot singular, not a magazine, not for a time span, one singular bullet. Honestly, I am not even going to spend a lot of time on this ability. It's poo-poo and exists to be replaced. I will bring up some summation later once I talk about my actual build with her. Her second ability is Shooting Gallery. This releases an energy lasso thingy that boosts the weapon damage of both Mesa and any teammate nearby, and also shuts down the guns of any enemies near it as a nice little bonus. Shooting Gallery is also the ability given to the Helminth if you feed her to it, by the way. This is a nice and quite simple little buff that helps both you and your teammates. However, the team buff only affects one person at a time, as the energy lasso kind of bounces in between them. Next up, we have Mesa's survival trick, Shatter Shield. This is an incredibly powerful tanking ability, with a really big caveat. Shatter Shield gives you a massive boost in damage resistance to range damage, while also causing enemy shots to bounce back into their face, which it turns out causes a good amount of pain to them. The kicker though is that it blocks range damage only. So being gunned down may not kill you, but being slapped or getting a status effect will make you fall over pretty quick if you're not careful. But all of that is nothing compared to Mesa's signature party trick. The main reason that her DPS can reach an average of yes. See those revolvers slung under her forearms? They are not there just for show. Those are her regulators, which tie into her final ability, Peacemaker. Which does quite a lot. Seriously, this is the first thing I have run across in Warframe that actually has its own math equation of how it does, well, this. In short, it is Deadeye from Red Dead Redemption, but after a massive cocaine binge. No need to aim, she does it for you, and is quickly increasing her fire rate and narrowing her aim as you shoot, making her overall damage go berserk. This also allows the ability to serve a dual purpose. You can activate it quickly to wipe out a small city's worth of enemies, then put them away, or stay focused on a single target to quickly delete it. Fun fact, the Mesa clip from Twitch that garnered a ton of views was from an unfinished version of my build against a normal difficulty Dactylus. Now here's a Steel Path Dactylus, solo, with the finished build.
What it's like to have your very mind deformed and broken. This Dactylus stands for all its kind. The nightmares below the surface. You must remember how you were forced to fight commandeered prime warframes. Well done, Tenno.
There are a couple of drawbacks that do have to be mentioned after all the praise. Without an augment mod, you cannot move at all when Peacemaker is active, and there are also certain boss type enemies that Mesa straight up cannot target. Still though, those issues are nothing compared to the straight raw power that these super-powered 6-shooters provide. Now when it comes to the build, here is mine. Hello, alrighty, it is time to show the build. The build I have for my Mesa Prime is going to be built entirely around her Peacemakers, or the Regulators, aka her number 4. So it is a mainly strength-based build, with the vast majority of the strength coming from Precision Intensify, specifically making her Peacemakers even stronger. This will give her up to a 284% strength on, admittedly, just the number 4, where again, we are focused on. I have put some points, however, into duration and efficiency, because one thing that I do know about the Regulators is I did have a high strength build, but man, these things guzzle gas like no tomorrow. So kind of balance that out so I can keep them out longer and have them do more damage. Arcane Velocity on here to make them fire even faster, and Arcane Avenger because this gives me higher critical chance whenever I'm damaged, which for Mesa, you're gonna get shot at, and you're gonna take damage no matter what, so it helps you there. Bigger energy cost with Prime Flow. This one I can understand people will replace and swap it out for maybe a blue Archon Shard. Yeah, I can understand that personally. I kind of keep Prime Flow on because I'll show you in just a moment the Archon Shard, specifically Pistol Lamp to increase pistol damage, and Preparation because I like having max energy. You can replace this with, say, where is it? Yeah, Power Drift to get a tiny bit more of the strength, but personally, since you're not going to be knocked down anyway with Peacemakers, might as well start out with a full tank of gas. Speaking of the Regulators themselves, this is where things get a little interesting. You might notice no Exilus mod, because frankly, no Exilus mod really works with these. Because you have like Trick Mag, more ammo, doesn't matter, these things have infinite ammo. Recoil, steady hands with less recoil, doesn't matter, she automatically will hit whatever target she aims at. Projectile speed, yeah, you get my point. But you might notice on this build, there are no base damage increases because the way the math works with the Regulators, also, yes, you might notice the 9 form up there. This was one of my earliest frames I worked on before I went back and actually made a real build for, and kind of went nuts with the Forma. Oops. But you might notice that I don't have any base damage mods on here, like, say, or is it like Hornet Strike here, or Magnum Force? That's because with the way the math works out for Mesa Prime's Regulators, it actually makes you do less damage if you go purely into just base damage increases. That's because her big thing is crit damage. So this is why I have gone full on into crit chance and crit damage here. And not only that, crit chance is already pretty high at 71.8%, which gets even higher because secondary Enervate, which is already one of the best secondary arcanes in the game, makes this even better. Easily gets you into the high red crits that make you, they're just wonderful. Not only that, also heat does tie into the Archon shards, which again, I'll show you in a minute. Magnetic comes from Magnetic Might, which the magnetic damage is nice, but I'm really made it for the 40% critical damage, which brings me up to an 8.8 critical damage modifier. And with even higher from Merciless Gunfight, which now also gives this punch through, which means if there's a hallway full of enemies, like on Steel Path Survival, you're just going to mow down that entire hallway. Galvanized Shot for status chance and on kill more direct damage for status type affecting the target, which is fantastic. Galvanized Fusion, of course, multi-shot, improves on kill because these mods are fantastic. Yeah, so this is how I've gone for. Like I said, focus on crit chance and damage with a little bit into status. Try not to do base damage increase mods. Now, I mentioned how the heat is tied to my Archon shards. That is because for Mesa, I am using 4 Tau Forged Topaz shards. Each one is used the words are hard. The buff that allows it to, every time you get a kill with an enemy affected by heat status, it increases the chance, secondary critical chance by 1.5%, max 75%. That is with each Archon shard. With 4 of these, that's 300% more secondary crit chance, which does link with the regulators, which is then further improved by secondary enervate, which gives you just insane amounts of crit damage. The only reason I don't have 5 on here, like energy orbs, I forgot to mute my phone, so if you heard that in the background, I do apologize. Last but not least, actually, one thing I want to show here is, I mentioned it before in the video about infusion, or infuse abilities. For my Mesa, there's a few I could recommend. Damage ones, say like Eclipse, Roar are good, but in my opinion, the best one, not gonna surprise anyone, to replace Ballistic Battery, Grendel's Nourish. It's easily the best one in my opinion overall. The damage increase from viral damage, explosion damage from viral damage, the increased of health, the energy increase multiplier, and how long you can make it last, the extra damage in general. It just is one of the best infuse abilities overall. So yeah, this is my Mesa Prime Peacemaker build. So I'm just gonna go show you very quickly the mod and arcane selection I have here. So there's the frame mods. Here are the regulator mods and arcane, and then of course the shards and the ability I infused. There we go. That's my build. Back to finish the video. Bye.
So if you are looking to become the Second Amendment made manifest, but are aware of the glass cannonness of the way she works, then Mesa is an absolutely fantastic and fun damage dealer that certainly gives you a bang, or several thousand, for your buck.
I want fire. I want fury. Let a Warframe take the field.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you watched here, then please feel free to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see more content of the Gaming Cowboy, feel free to follow me on Twitch, where I stream regularly, as well as join the public community Discord server of the Gaming Ranch. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and remember, y'all are awesome, y'all stay awesome, and y'all have a good one.